Hi, Bansaw Crown Music here. I did a video last week on Avenger's new vintage filter. I thought I would bring out another one this week, which would be a kind of a complement to it, that perhaps shows it off in a better way. I'll be making a preset with the vintage filter type, and again making it available for a free download for you. Link in the description. Okay, this is the sound we're going to be making today. It's kind of an unusual sounding preset. I think we'll go with it. It does show off a little bit more of how you can play with this new vintage filter type. Okay, let's go for it. Let's right click on the memory button and initialize so we have the default preset. Start from scratch. We're going to be changing the saw wave into something different, a sine wave. Hold on, what's happening here? Oh, it's Christmas, and that means I'm having a bit of a sale on my expansion packs. You can pick up 2 expansion packs, Sapphire and Modern Analog, for just $38. Just go to the website, the link's in the description, and these presets are compatible with versions 1.4 and version 1.5. Okay, let's get back to the tutorial. Let's make some adjustments in the oscillator window here. Because we're going to focus on the vintage filter here, this oscillator needn't be as prominent, so we're going to turn this volume down a little bit. We're going to add a touch extra reverb here, and a touch extra delay down here as well. And we'll come back to this later, but I do want to increase the FM amount to about here and change this to a bit of a higher quality FM table. Let's go over to the amp section. I'm going to again turn down the velocity sensitivity so we get more of a uniform volume. At the moment it's just going through filter 1, so let's go there, click, go to filter 1. Make some minor adjustments here. I'm going to turn this to about 1000 Hz, roughly, doesn't really matter, around about there. And the envelope amount, I'm going to turn that up. And now we have this sound. It's a simple sine wave sound. And then I start to move the preset forward by adding a second filter. So click on the plus icon here to add filter number 2. Change this to a vintage low pass 24. Let's turn this down the cutoff down to about 950 Hz here, around about there. Take down some of this key tracking, take it off. And let's change some of this modulation. Let's move this up to around about here. And move the modulation up to about 30. Around about there should be okay. And now we have to tell this oscillator to go through filter 2 as well. So come up here to the routing of the oscillator, click on the plus icon, and then add a filter 2. We want it to go through filter 2 first, so we click on the filter 2, click and drag so it's above filter 1. So now if you're following along, you should have this sound. And you're going to hear some resonance and some feedback coming from the vintage filter there. Again, let's add some interest to this by modulating the cutoff and the modulation amount for the vintage filter with a mod envelope. It's got the mod envelope section, click on that. And we're going to choose again filter spikes. Let's try number 5 this time. Let's use this same mod envelope to modulate the cutoff for the vintage filter and this resonance knob here. Let's not go too crazy with it. Let's move this the resonance down to about -16 is okay. And around about the same for the cutoff. So now we have this sound. It's getting more interesting. Okay, let's add some more interest to this preset. Let's create another mod envelope. And let's do something over the course of 8 bars. Let me drag this right out to about 8 bars here. So let's start the modulation about bar 5. So double click to add a point. Add bar 5 here. We're going to peak our modulation in bar 6. Double click, add another point. Keep it up there until about bar 7 and then gradually come back down again at the end of bar 8. Now then, what can we assign this mod envelope to? Okay, how about assigning this mod envelope to the FM amount? Click and drag the 6 dots, click and release on the FM. And the mod matrix, take this up somewhat. The amount is arbitrary, it's just depending on your taste. And let's change the mode from one shot to loop. So you can hear there at the end of bar 5 it starts to modulate the FM. Now then, here's a trick. How about using mod envelope 2 to modulate mod envelope 1? What do I mean by that? What parameter on mod envelope 1 should we modulate? Well, if we look at mod envelope 1, it's modulating the cutoff filter here, but it's only modulating it in one direction. If you watch it closely, it's only modulating it in a negative direction to the left. How can we modulate the cutoff filter in both a positive and negative direction? We can do that by modulating the offset amount. You'll find this offset amount also in the LFOs. There's an offset parameter here, and there's also an offset parameter in the mod envelopes too. So let's use mod envelope 2 to modulate the offset in mod envelope 1. Click on the 6 dots, hold it down and drag over to mod envelope 1. It invokes mod envelope 1. And drag it on down to the offset right here. And in the mod matrix, change this offset to about -50. And now watch what happens to this window, and watch what also happens to the cutoff filter. So by changing the offset, you can modulate the cutoff filter in both a positive and negative direction. Let's add some drums to this to make it more interesting. So analog 1 is fine. Let's put some polish on it. Let's go to the step sequencer and invoke the step sequencer, switch it on, and then go to Rhythmic Simple Classic Gate 2. Okay, I think the FM modulation is a bit crazy, so I'm going to calm it down a bit. If I take it into the negative direction. Without the sine wave, it sounds like this. And with it, let's play some octaves for you. Okay, that's it for this week. I hope this tutorial has showed off a little bit more of the capabilities of the new vintage filter. As I said before, I've made this preset available for you for a free download. Do experiment with the step sequencer and the gates to create different kinds of sounds and enjoy it. That's it for this week. If you found the tutorial helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe for more Avenger related content. Until next time, stay well. Cheers.